you see, love is the knowing that your love is a joy to them, and that knowledge being such a joy to you. That is what love is. That is the loveliness of love. Let me see if I can say it again. It's the knowing that your love and care is a joy to them, and that joy that they have is such a joy to you. That is what love is. Do you see, it's nothing to do with obedience or humility or service or being a slave or a servant to, or sacrifice or dominance or authority. It is the only true, wonderful, joyful, permanent, creative relationship. It is the very fabric of our God, our Heavenly Father, the family of the host of heaven, and all creations. All time, all being, all. Love, charity, as I think it's Corinthians says, it doesn't pass away. Is it? I'm not sure if it's Corinthians, this one. But the greatest of these is love, charity. Everything else can pass. But that is what being is. That's what love is identifying. Your presence is heaven to me. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Do you see the concept? As here has hope and trust, faith built into it. Joy is fundamental to it. The peace of such view, such relationship, such the constancy, the commitment, the integrity, the bond in the best possible sense, emotive understanding of the word. The solid anchor, if you like, the rock on which all is built. It has in it, built into it, the integrity. It embraces all the values, the qualities of God. our Heavenly Father. It is relationship, validity, truth. It's all built into this understanding, this state of finding joy in the joy that others have in you. It suffers all things, incredibly loyal. It is the trust that my love and care for you is a joy to you. And that being so is such a joy to me. That is what love is. It means I can just be in your company and it's heaven to me. Just being in your company. Not even being in your company. Or perhaps it's the same, simply thinking about you. Conscious of you. Conscious of you being the one that loves my company. That is heaven to me. To appreciate, love, delight, find endless joy in that being the case. In that being my view of you. And my gift to you, so to speak, is holding to that truth, is holding to that as truth. That is my creativity. Hence, I play this crazy game on Mum in the garden of giving her a cup of tea that's not a cup of tea, just to see, does she actually notice the difference? How conscious is she of my care of her? I suppose, on reflection, it was just a little test of seeing, am I just being taken for granted? Or even, does she take what's going on so for granted that she's not actually conscious of what's going on? Conscious of what she's drinking. She assumes it's a cup of tea. It was a cup of tea to her. Not quite, of course, because she thought, when she said, this doesn't taste quite right. And of course, I'm almost beside myself with fun and playfulness, you know, trying to keep a straight face. And I'm absolutely full of life and joy and playfulness within me, and trying to suppress it so it's, how do you mean, sort of thing, you know? And it's so out of character in a sense, because Marshall always does what's loving and kind and helpful and a blessing. I don't know. In fact, I'm enjoying it more now than then, I think. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Incidentally, do you see, that's an example just now, isn't it? Where one's consciousness is, and mine in this discourse has been on playing this trick on Mum in the garden. And where one's consciousness is, the reality that you're in. And I just relived, and in fact recreated, and probably slightly differently. We're always rewriting history, aren't we? Without really realizing it, but also realizing it with purpose. In other words, we're reinventing it for the present, some variation on it, and just seeing how that runs and what that might mean to us. And that's what I've done here, haven't I? History is not some simplistic photographic account of something. It's heavily edited, heavily retouched. We've altered the light, we've changed the colouring, we've shifted that bit of the photo out of the picture. We've rewritten history. We've rewritten it in the fullness of being alive, creative, moving into the next. Glorious unknown, glorious from the safety of, in some sense, knowing the game that we are playing and playing it accordingly. And it's great fun, and we're doing it together. We're creating. We are the creativity of God. Love you, Heavenly Father. Your presence is everything to us. Thank you, Heavenly Father. My goodness, it's occurred to me that that particular incident in the garden and the cup of tea is the delight that discord can be in a context of absolute safety, of total trust. That there's Marshall teasing Mum. It's a tease, isn't it? Where I'm presenting Mum with something completely different. That is not Marshall simply bringing out a cup of tea because that's what Mum might need and want. And he's being playful. He's seeing what happens when you tweak something in the system, you just change it. And what's the result of this? It's an incredible playfulness. Do you see, it's an incredible creativity? Don't take discord as necessarily harm. It's the source of harm in a situation where there's no trust, no consciousness of all the goodness of God. But in an atmosphere of godliness, it's the very source of the creative and the new. It has its place. It's fundamental. To God. In the fullness of loving, because loving is constantly in a creativity of doing something that is a joy and a blessing to others. And that creativity rests on an ability to risk, to launch out into something of the unknown that allows the variety from which the new creative care springs into life from. So we're ever new in our care of kindness and help to others. The blessing is an ever new development, and that springs from an ability to handle a certain amount of discord in a certain way, from which springs the creativity of the new, the ever-evolving, ever-expanding, unfoldment of our loving care of those around us. I think it's that. Thank you, Heavenly Father. I'm reminded of my friend Chris, decades ago now, a chap I used to teach at school, Ipswich, Westbourne School. And I don't know, at some later stage in knowing him, he said to me, he said that he was always the chap who, if you're upstairs on the bus, you know, and I imagined at the front of the bus sitting there in England, if someone got on, it was always the man, the oddie that got on with his camel. He'd be gravitated to Chris and sit next to him. And of course this is a ridiculous, you know, you can't get a camel on a bus, and you certainly couldn't get it upstairs, and it wouldn't sit next with him next to you. I mean, but it just gave the sort of absurd picture, which, as if he was a person who was always on the threshold, just a bit beyond the boundary of the normal, and it would always happen to him. And in some sense, he knew of his unusual ability to draw upon the crazy that somehow created the new. Expressed by my second wife, Jodie, who says to me, or says to someone else, if there's anyone odd or strange or different, wherever you are, for certain they will know Marshall and say hello. It's a bit like my son, my eldest son, who had this extraordinary willingness and ability to be drawn to whoever was handicapped or in need or ostracized or left out. Whereas if you were fine, normal and everything going well, you just didn't exist for him. He was drawn to and were drawn to him and loved him those who are in need. Incredibly fine chap. So non-conforming in some ways that every conformist was repelled by him. But everyone in true need would find in him to be a true friend. Staggering. Reminds me too of our friend, his and mine, Len, who was the chief rating officer for London Borough. I think it might have been Newham or something. And he this incredible loyalty and helpfulness. Incredible friend. Gosh, it brings tears to my eyes to say that now. He's gone, he died years ago. Wonderful to have had these friends in life. Utter treasure. The very fabric of the goodness of life. Again, you see in him an incredible integrity. Staggering integrity. Thank you so much, Heavenly Father, for the blessings of the company of such people that demonstrate the loveliness of you. The loveliness of you, Heavenly Father. Love you. The awareness of you, Heavenly Father, is heaven to me.
Thank you, Heavenly Father.
Well, needless to say, I've got tears running down my face, and since I'm laying in bed, they're running in a different direction, aren't they? Because I'm laying on my back here. And it's 4:25 in the morning. And it's Saturday. And I believe now it is actually the 27th. Yesterday was the 26th. And I've been dictating since about 3 or something. I slept from, when I went to bed at just after 9, so I slept from about 9:30 to 2:30, which is a solid 5 hours, which is surprising. Usually I sleep about 3 hours to begin with, and then perhaps another 2, perhaps not, perhaps an hour, perhaps 3/4. And then I get around to dictating, and this has been sort of something of that pattern, but I didn't fall asleep again this time. 5 hours has been enough for me. And I hope I'm not actually tired during the day. We don't want to stress the body, do we? Was it St. Francis, I'm not sure, said you treat the body as a donkey, but kindly. And if he didn't say that, well, he should have said. Don't take my quotes as too reliable, will you? I'm not interested in who said or what he said, really. But what I say in being, in some sense, valid. And by valid, I mean a blessing to you, an encouragement, a loving kindness. Yeah, thank you, Heavenly Father.